Alrighty. How many people we got so far? These are just for Apex, just for Apex. So yeah, I mean, pretty much we haven't really seen um anything surprising this week. Pretty much took the hedges, obviously around here. I keep switching between the black and white chart because I post a black and white chart in my channel, and then on Twitter I post this white chart. But pretty much we had our hedge one, hedge two, which was hit. Overnight, this was perfectly hit, and entry price is around that 65.4. Caught this nice 3.5% bounce up to this area here. Obviously, this area was already tested a couple of hours ago, and we just had this sweep now into NY. But yeah, we're not really seeing anything crazy, and tested a key SR. Obviously, that's why I took that hedge. Now we're around here into on a Monday, right? NY open, pushing upwards. So yeah, I mean, we're not doing anything surprising, and 50% has been taken, and I have got another 50% open just in the event we do extend slightly higher than expectations, which is around 69.5. But if we start working our way down to, let's say, you know what, let's go on the hourly here. Let's go on the hourly here and start looking at the lower time frame in regards to what's happening. Seeing as we're NY open, let's get Tokyo up as well. It's a different color. Okay. So yeah, I mean, consolidation over the weekend, massive wick straight through. Anyways, like I was saying, sorry about that. So pretty much weekend consolidation, push straight through, capitulation wick through, swept the wick low, very nice recovery, pretty much up only since the rest of Asia. London, pretty much consolidation. But what do we see here primarily? We see price stalling after having this very nice recovery towards the upside, and we already know the stats of what usually happens on Mondays, right? And obviously context is important, right? And in this case, what can we see? We had one, a very nice sweep here. We had approximately, let's say, about 7 hours of up, right? So after this sweep, we just took out a bunch of short positions, very gradual move upwards, right? Then we have our, matter of fact, let's go to the 15-minute here. Then we have our Asia high, which is approximately um, sitting around here, right? Which is 67.7K, around that area, right? So very nice gradual move upwards. We pushed it down into London Open. London had the sweep, another rejection, and obviously we had another sweep, right? It's because, well, we didn't hit that kill zone during NY. So what do we see? So another sweep of the high into NY, and now obviously you can kind of get the gist of where I'm going here. We've had that reaction. We've had this gradual move upwards after having this push here, and well, it's no surprise that this sweep was textbook for a scalp short, for instance. Yeah. So pretty much when it comes to navigating these sessions here, this is pretty textbook. The reason we obviously didn't have the rejection the first time around, if we look closer and analyze this PA here, we had the push down, right? We had the push down into London. Did we sweep anything significant? Not really, apart from maybe this area here, which is a very small SR, like just that we flipped this previous range resistance. Remember, this is the weekend range high, and then we have our weekend range low. What did we do? We swept, well, obviously the range low, pushed up, flipped it, respected the weekend range high, pushed upwards, swept again, pushed down. Why did we not just continue down from here? Well, like I said, it's quite simple because NY wasn't open yet. So instead, London Open, we had another sweep of the highs, textbook sweep into London, into NY from London, and obviously we're getting this rejection from here, which is expected. So in terms of levels, and matter of fact, I actually brought this up in the Apex room. Like I said, I'm posting my lower time frame plans and analysis in there rather than obviously the war zone. The war zone's just maniac, but I posted my analysis early in the morning in terms of what I was expecting, and you can pretty much see like what we've done is basically exactly what I was showing I was expecting, right? So in terms of levels I'm paying attention towards, we had like a nice triple sweep here, 1, 2, 3, matter of 4, pretty much. What am I looking at the moment? Well, first and foremost, I'm looking at London low, which is here. That's going to be my first point of interest on the lower time frame, 67.2k. And obviously part of hedge long has already been scaled out at 67.8k. However, if you were scalping and you looked at what I posted in the Apex chat, you would have seen, well, this is what I was expecting. Look for the sweep into NY had the sweep, and obviously this is a decent move to catch up some leverage, right? 0.5% move, depends on your size, right? If you're doing some decent size, then this is quite nice to quickly compound a reaction around NY, especially if we have a very distinct narrative playing out, right? In this case, gradual move up, push down, sweep straight into the kill zone, and obviously having that rejection back downwards. So pretty much everything's quite clear in terms of price action. Sessions on the weekend don't really work, so I'm just going to clarify that now. If you're trading particular sessions, for instance, I'm only applying these sessions here because, well, to get my point across to people who don't understand what I'm talking about. But I don't really use these. I already know the timings, and I can kind of figure out where, what phase we're in through certain sessions. But pretty much, as long as we remain below the current swing high, which is 68.1, we might have some more sweeps. To be fair, wouldn't really make much sense to do so. Right, wouldn't really make much sense to do so. But if we, well, you can see here. Matter of fact, let me just remove all of my drawings real quick, and we'll just go on like the 5 minute, for instance. So we start looking here, for instance. That is our sweep of the high, overlap between Asia and London. So in terms of areas of interest, this is our Asia high. And in terms of structure, I mean, we ain't really seeing anything that crazy. I mean, we don't really, yeah, I mean, this is a bit of a messy trend line, if you will. Had some slight deviation, but usually when I'm marking my confluence, I try to get as much points as contact, because this is the most important part, rather than connecting like just every little thing, if that makes sense. When you're drawing these things, it's better to have as much points of contact as possible. So in this case, what we're looking for here is if we hold below this and this and this, hold below this, then obviously we can start sweeping this wick low later on. Now, this is one scenario. We have another scenario where we hold some sort of middle range here, for instance. Like, let's say we form a very poor low. Matter of fact, let's say we hold this trend line here. If we hold this area and we start flipping the London high, let's say this starts happening towards the end of NY, right? Let's say we start sweeping the highs towards the end of NY. Then we could start testing maybe around these price regions here. And if we are at this price region towards the end of NY, so obviously the end of NY, when we are transitioning to Asia daily close, look for a quick sweep, and then obviously that push downwards for a scalp short as well. But before we validate these higher end targets, um, we need to obviously flip this high here with force. And if we don't do that, then like I said, we will come straight back down and test this area here. But theoretically, just speaking from a structural perspective, right? We've had the sweep, and pretty much if we start paying attention towards what happens in the past, well, with sweeps you see here, so very similar, not too similar though. We had a push upward NY, somewhat consolidation Tokyo. Tokyo flips, sweeps the highs here. So right here, and we obviously had a sweep here. NY didn't quite sweep the wick high, but we did sweep the high, and then obviously pushed down, had more messy PA. But if you look at what happened in the broader market context, right, we had the sweep of the external high into the kill zone and then a push downwards. Obviously, it took some time to develop. And if we start looking here, well, we see a very similar setup. We have Asia push up, London, well, pretty much ranging, additional sweeps, had a final sweep during NY. So if we reject here, push here. Now, if we lose this area, then that's not really going to be looking particularly great. But matter of fact, let's go to, let's say, the weekly here and start looking at some strong weekly levels to be paying attention towards. So, in terms of weekly levels, by the way, guys, is my microphone good? Yeah, is it like, because I don't know, like the quality. All right, all right, cool. All right, thanks. So pretty much in terms of weekly levels, probably getting the idea of why I put my TP1 on that hedge here is because we're testing the previous weekly open, had a nice sweep of that, and in terms of our significant swing lows here, and then we obviously have the weekly open. It's around here. Like I said, I always when we're looking at things just from structure alone, um, I pay attention to the weekly, sometimes the monthly levels as well, and then the daily as well. But in terms of the significant confluence zones, I start by marking the weekly, and then I move my work my way down. Right. So then we have 50% of this wick here, which is around here. Previous weekly open, previous weekly low. So in terms of structure, these are our important areas to be paying attention towards, just from a structural perspective, right? Not involving any time-based things, just from a structural perspective. Then we can start going down to the daily here. We can start seeing, okay, so we tested our first POI, pumped into NY, swept the highs. Again, you can see how everything starts gradually aligning together as to why the price rejected at the start of NY, right? So if we start looking at what has happened so far, so we had a push down, and again, if we start looking at some external confluences as well, you can start seeing, well, here we also have an FVG. I don't really call them FVGs, I call them imbalances, and that's because probably around this price region we had a lot of single prints or low volume, and like I've said before, yeah, exactly. I don't even need to put the indicator on because I just know now. So like I mean, single print pushed up into here above the POC. Basically, um, usually around FVGs you see this low volume and imbalance here, low volume and imbalance here, and well, you can see FVG on the daily here as well as an external confluence, if that makes sense. So pretty much start of the week, what have we done? We've swept this high here. Matter of fact, let's make this red for now. And this high here. And these are both the weekend moves, right? So let's observe the trend at the moment. The trend, well, is bearish, right? Start looking at this retest here to here, rejected the 0.5. Start looking at here, probably not at the 0.5 yet, but still relatively close. Yeah, you see, it's right in there, right? Now, we can see that the trend is predominantly bearish, right? We've had a sweep of the low here. Weekend push down, weekend sweep to the wick low. So again, this was perfection entry, perfection add as well. Had a push through, start of the week. What do we usually do on Monday? What's the trend? Trend's bearish, right? So we've hunted what direction at the start of the week? Shorts, right? Now, in terms of what we can expect the rest of this week, we need to see how the price reacts around this area here. In terms of our strong levels, we obviously have 50% of the wick, which is not like a significant level, right? But it's definitely something to pay attention towards. I wouldn't hold much weight on just this, right? I would hold more weight on this and obviously the weekly open, which is at 65.9. If we go to the 4 hour, same thing. We have a key SR, well, previous break of structure here, same areas to where Bitcoin's just tested. Indecision wick here, swept the highs again. So we have liquidity on this wick. So when I'm analyzing things, which are all like aligning together. So yeah, I mean, when I'm analyzing things, I'm combining multiple different things together. I can't listen to killer. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. All right, it must be an issue on your end, man. All right, cool. Anyways, like I was saying, so pretty much when I'm analyzing the structure, I'm analyzing things. You can see how I flip between all of the time frames here, start to gather as much confluence as possible. I flip between the weekly, the daily, the sessions, and then I combine everything together. You see everything starts molding together like a puzzle piece, right? And that's how it should be, right? This is, I mean, this is kind of, I guess, my type of viewing the charts, right? Everybody has a different way of viewing the charts with their own strategies and stuff. So this is just how I analyze things, and I flip through all of them, and obviously here, exposed low, trends bearish. Obviously, we have London low here after sweeping the highs, previous SR. So if we flipped this, for instance, then obviously we're looking around these areas here. Again, nothing really significant, if that makes sense. This was a clear break of structure retest. And yeah, if we go up to here, same thing. You match up with the timing. But usually when you have these sweeps with rebound, usually the price does this. And the reason why is because we have a lot of built up liquidity here. We have this gradual move up where we are hunting shorts, right? Okay, give me a second, guys, because I was just in a quick give me a second. I was in nice scalp here at the sweep. Give me a second, closing some of my position. Yeah, everything is going to be uploaded to YouTube, by the way, guys. When I do these streams, they're all going to be uploaded to YouTube. The Paragon's YouTube, right? The Paragon's YouTube. Okay, lovely. So yeah, everything is going to start being uploaded to the Paragon YouTube from now on. But like I was saying, if we lose these areas here, where does that put us next? Well, where's the next strong area, right? It is here, right? It's the weekly open. In terms of what's here, it's just air. And I'll try find an example of where we've done something very similar to this price action, what we're seeing now. But a lot of it is experience based. I've seen a lot of these violent recoveries and usually what happens afterwards. I'll try find some, but it's going to be quite difficult to find them. Give me a second, might take me a while. I know we've seen one before. Where we had a wick downwards quick sweep. That wasn't. That doesn't. It's not the example I'm looking for. I know I've seen a few of them before. No, I can't find it. But anyways, pretty much when you see a V-shaped recovery, if we are in a very bullish trend, usually the price just goes literally just goes like this. If we see like a very strong trend, bullish trend, right, then usually it just does this, and then consolidation, vertical accumulation, then expansion. When we're in a downtrend or a range, it acts completely different. you need to be a bit more careful with them ones. But yeah, if we lose these areas here, weekly open sits next. Now this is a do or die level. We have the monthly close as well, which is here. And I did post some analysis on my X as well around what happens around the monthly. What the fuck? Can't even see, man. What's happened here? What the fuck? All right. So we have here. That's where the monthly open is going to be and the monthly close. So we could do a lot of things. I did, as a matter of fact, let's go to that monthly chart at the moment. Wait, let's go back to here. So here again, you see here we swept into a key SR level, swept slightly below the monthly open, and that's typically how price reacts when we are testing key points of interest like that. We usually have sweeps below them. So when you're paying attention to like monthly opens, monthly closes, I would just look for sweeps below them because usually you see deviation below. Why? Because everyone's paying attention to them. Again, this was one of my pivots, which I posted as well, in terms of what we can see around these areas. But there was another one which was the monthly opens. I must have deleted it. I'll have to redo it. But yeah, pretty much on my X, I was showing that what happens around the monthly opens, and yeah, I've definitely deleted it. But yeah, I was pretty much saying in that update that around the monthly opens, we have a high chance of pumping afterwards. So if we do start getting to this area, let's say worst case scenario, we lose this, then we could have a violent sweep here to maybe these areas here, and then having a nice push upward start of April. Now, this would be ideal because of my fractal, which I posted as well a few hours ago, of 2022 to now, which is very distinct. Matter of fact, let me just go on my X real quick and get it up rather than just yappering about it. So this is one of the posts, and this is on a weekly time frame. I'd be quite surprised if we are here. I'd be quite surprised if we are here. This is a weekly time frame. So this is probably a month and a bit of price action. If we're doing the same thing as to what we've done before, and there is a chance that eventually we decorrelate, right? Eventually we will decorrelate. But in terms of how I guess, not to brag or be a little egotistical little rat, but in terms of me using 2022 to now, it's allowed me to predict nearly every move. Eventually, that's going to change. Eventually, we're going to decouple from that. But it doesn't really matter because fractals decouple, you look for new patterns, and you adapt, right? So there is a chance that we do decorrelate from the fractals. However, this is quite intriguing to me because we are still 160 days into the bear market, and usually bear markets last 300 plus days. So we have a lot of time to fuck around, find out pretty much, and do some sort of range. It might not be identical to this, but I brought this up because it looks very similar in terms of where we are positioned. So I wrote a little description below as well, basically explaining um, what we could expect if it's something similar. But yeah, if we have a sweep into this area at the start of April, that would be then I'd have a very good idea what's going to happen for the next month, right? If we sweep somewhere around these lows into April, then that means we can almost guarantee or have a very high probability of pushing upwards at the start of April. On the other hand, let's say we don't get to this area. Let's say we keep pushing upwards. Let's say we have the sweeps, start pushing upwards like this gradually, and there comes a monthly open and we're here. What you need to understand is at the start of a new month, we have 3 to 4 days of manipulation to form the top or the bottom of the candle. That's where we put the first pivot in at the start of the month. So if we start pushing upwards into the monthly open, well, the monthly close, then we could see an inverse move afterwards. Vice versa, if we obviously see a dump into it. It depends how far that dump extends. Let's say we approach the monthly close and we just range and we're here. We haven't really had any strong sweeps. So again, I'd look for maybe a hunt below before obviously having that reversal upwards. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, um, if we zoom in, matter of fact, let's get both charts up here. Let's get duals like this. Let's change this to this. So what I typically look for, I look for characteristics, right? I look for characteristics in terms of how the price is reacting. I did have one post where I basically said we could have another sweep of the highs. I did say that I wasn't long into it. I wasn't expecting it, but it was something as a possibility. What did we see? We didn't see that sweep, right? So that's why I held my short positions, because obviously I was expecting this downwards movement. It's just a matter of how the schematic plays out. But what do we see here? We see messy trend line, messy trend line. Obviously, when I say messy trend line, it's because I'm not connecting every single dot. I'm connecting the significant lows which are happening around these periods, right? We break below, have some chop consolidation, and I look at where the price is now. So this looks awfully similar here. So me might just keep doing this. Let's say Monday high is in and we start rejecting, just pushing downwards. Then that's equivalent to sweeping this low. Then everyone's going to be targeting here. Then we obviously have somewhat probably a short squeeze, start the month, right? You see how things start to click together. So yeah, I mean, this is what I look for. I look for patterns and occurrences of the structure, right? Things which we've seen before, and then comparing them to present price action. We don't have to mirror it exactly. Like I've said, here we have 3 highs, here we have 2. We don't have to mirror it perfectly, but we are showing similar signs most of the time. Why? Because the algorithm hasn't really changed in 20 plus years. If anybody has any questions this far, let me know. Um, let me know. You can ask questions about anything, guys. Remember, it could be anything. But yeah, I mean, that was a textbook scalp. I don't know if anybody took it. I mean, on BitConnect you can have two accounts, so sub accounts. Well, you can have multiple accounts. I have 2 sub accounts and a main account, and on the sub accounts I'm doing what I'm doing, and on my main account I'm not really touching that at all. That's for the big swings. That makes sense. The reason I do not share these small moves is, to be honest, I think that I think that it might get hunted. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of people who are following me, and I'd rather just keep it low key, put in the apex, and then people in the apex can figure out what I'm expecting, what to look for, and take scalps based off that. I don't really want to I guess, post every single thing, because it's just going to confuse everybody. Because, for instance, here, I took a scalp short, NY open, posted my plan in the apex. There's always going to be someone who's confused as what I'm doing, right? So I rather just post the higher time frame related stuff. Believe it or not, before my X blew up, I used to post a lot of fucking scalps. a lot of scalps around these periods. Um, but like I said, maybe I will do some live scalping at some point during the NYs. But for now, we're just going to keep it analysis based. People can make their own decisions based off obviously the price action and so forth. You better not post small movements as we will be. Yeah, I mean that's primarily why I don't think I'm going to post them. I might stream some scalping at some point. Have to depends, right? Depends. Why did you change your sleep schedule? Well, the reason why I was up during Asia hours is because if you looked if you were looking what was happening during the Asia hours on this drop, you would have known that this was Asia session, this entire drop. Well, not the entire drop, but the start of where this peak formed was in Asia, and obviously, where is it now? NY, where we're possibly going to form my lower high. So I mean, Gil, a few weeks ago you posted about sweeping lows and highs NY open. Can you explain what was about to do? Wait, what was about to do? Reminder about those. Um, I did bring that up at the start of the stream, but I'll quickly cover it again. So yeah, so pretty much, if we analyze here, we saw London high form here. We swept the high here, and now we've had this drop back down to here, and we're holding around this trend line somewhere around here. Price is going back to London low. Pretty much, what I was saying was that obviously we've swept the previous high here. Well, here we're holding the trend line for now. So I mean, if we are like going on the super lower time frame, shit, you'll probably never see me cover anywhere. But I mean, like you can't even really tell much. All you are seeing is this gradual climb up in terms of like strong areas. We have like a wick here, previous area here. Like if we remained below here and started breaking to the trend line again, then we push downwards. But this is like 1 minute chart, and on the 1 minute chart, there is a lot of volatility. Plus, the levels are not as strong as they are on the higher time frames. So that's why I prefer to analyze things from a higher time frame perspective rather than lower time frame. The structure is still the same on the lower time frame. The only difference is on the lower time frame, you can get muddled up with the narrative because you're fixated on what's happening on such a small time frame. Plus, the levels are not as strong. When moon, I mean, we'll see, man. Well, yeah, I mean, if we start looking, yeah, I mean, like if we just look at structure here, monthly open, yeah, I mean, we might just hold here for the time being until the monthly close, which means if we do something here, we might just hold here. They might just bounce and consolidate until the monthly close. Then we do a reaction around the monthly open. So Yeah, I mean, matter of fact, I want to go over USDT because this chart is increasingly interesting. So, nice flag here forming. Broke, well, baited, broke here. Very, very nice retest. And this was equivalent to obviously 72k Bitcoin, where I was saying, look, maintain below. We're bearish here, guys. That was perfect retest. Broke above. Swept this previous high here. Obviously, that's where we took the longs. Why did we take the hedge longs? Well, because we swept the high and we can make some money on that sweep for that retest down. Now, this is not much of a retest, but let's say we hold below. If we hold somewhere around here, we could theoretically extend all the way down to like here if it really wanted to, like bleed and do this. If that makes sense, could be more prolonged rather than instant recovery. But the structure's bullish, and that's only looking at the daily. As a matter of fact, let's go down to the 4 hour and we start seeing. So yeah, this would be equivalent to retesting, yeah, London low this week here. But what I wanted to primarily cover was the weekly candles here because this is quite crazy here. So look, the weekly has had a very strong recovery. Have the flag, sweep, push through, pushed down. What did we see here? We saw a very strong reaction from the lows. We broke above first lower time frame resistance, right? So why did this push down at the start of the week? Well, number one, we broke out. Number two, we swept the highs. And number three, we are bullish. So what's the incentive behind this current red candle? Well, the incentive is to put in a higher low on the lower time frame before, obviously, I would think to push through. And like I said, the reason why is because, well, the reason I think like this is because, well, we've had a break. We pushed down basically the entire weekly candle, recovered the entire move. Let's just ignore that this is USDT dominance. Let's just think of this just any chart, right? Perfect retest, very bullish trend. We wicked down, reclaimed the weekly open, pushed above, rejected slightly, formed somewhat of a pin bar after breaking structure, strong reaction after having the deviation of the wick low. This, my friends, looks like continuation to me higher. Meaning that somewhere around here, if Bitcoin is bearish, this goes up, well, up here, right? Somewhere here, or this wick here. So, I mean, we did see something very similar here as well. Like if you look here, we closed above, but then ranged back down. So we could just literally do that as well if they want to be very fucking slow about it, which wouldn't surprise me as well. But yeah, I mean, um, it's something else. Every time we join, I can hear in a few seconds the voice drops off. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that is about. Yeah, I mean, everything is going to be uploaded anyways. We've been streaming for about 40 minutes. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the USDT dominance, it looks more bullish than bearish, so I'd be careful with Bitcoin in it, and we could see some range. So I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If we look, if this monthly candle closes red, that means well, 6 red months. I believe we've only done that once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. So the last time we had 6 red monthly candles was here. I remember because I only saw it once. We'll just look again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So it's on the monthly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Yep, yeah, literally. So the last time we've printed 6 red months in a row was back in 2018, and afterwards it was the bottom the next candle. So that's quite interesting. Matter of fact, that's quite interesting. So we'll have to see if this closes red. Well, then the last time we done it, it formed the bottom. I don't know what to say too much about that. That would be. Yeah, I don't think it would bottom. I think after the 6 months we might get relief back up in the range and then push back down again. That would be a bit too fast for a bottom. I mean, if we look at the most recent, so we have 371, 364, 400. This one's actually quicker. This one here. This one we bottomed in 133 days. But I think it's a bit more I think like comparing to when Bitcoin was like at $30 when the market cap was like a couple billion versus comparing it to now when it's like a couple trillion, I think like there's a very significant dynamic change here, so I don't know if this is like a relevant comparison. But we have seen us bottom beforehand, but again, this was when Bitcoin bottomed at $2, so I mean, you just have to analyze things structurally. So, what seems the most likely scenario here? Other cycles are slightly messier than others. I mean, this was just some sort of a triangle. It just broke with capitulation. I think this was MT Gox. Can't remember. Otherwise, or it was somewhere here. I think it was. Then just V-shaped recovery. This one was. See, this cycle we're seeing now is very, very fucking similar to the last one, right? We had our distribution, accumulation, sweep of the highs, not too much in terms of distribution. Like we only spent a bit of time up here, then we pushed down, redistribution flag, push down, and then we had this like this, and then we obviously had the recovery, reaccumulation, expansion, flag, expansion, distribution, push down, reaccumulation, expansion, distribution, push down, redistribution, push down, and now we are somewhere here. Um, if we start looking at the phases, I mean, like you can't really see the same things on this cycle. You can only see it between these two here. So you don't really see it. Yeah, I mean, even here, you don't really see much in terms of a phase. I mean, I'd have to go on the very lower time frame here, but you just have there's your SR. You just had some small range here, sweep above the range here, or just slight deviation around this box here, pushes down, range. Obviously, these are the lows. Have one sweep before push through. So I mean, you don't really see much comparisons apart from where we are now. Now, yeah, we've had one, two, three types of ranges, and we've got one, two, three types of ranges. So I mean, we are somewhere around here, I believe. Why do you think I brought up that I'm buying spot? Because let's say we go ahead and don't sweep the wick low. Just let's say theoretically we don't. Let's say I'm wrong and we don't sweep 60k again. Right, let's just say I'm wrong. I am not going to miss out on this upside movement because of me aiming just for below 60, if that makes sense. So that's why I've also started stacking my spot, right? Because if we look here, we had a double sweep as well after capitulation, but the cycles are evolving and they're adapting. So there's also a chance that we don't get that. I do think we will, don't get me wrong, but everything is a possibility. So that's why obviously paying attention to the structure is going to be very important as well. And if we start, matter of fact, let's go on this chart again. Let's bring up the 100, 200. Yeah, I mean deviation below the 200, below the 200, below the 200, and we are like clinging on to it at the moment. We see this overlap here before continued push down in this area. I mean, let's say we range a bit more, be like before. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Let's have a look at how long we usually spend below the 200. Well, this was since the break, so 270 days below. Yeah, it would put us where we traditionally bottom around. But like I said, I think it's going to be around August. So this one was a bit different actually. How long was this? 133 days. Just sure I get that. 133 days. That would still put us till June. So that's usually where you want to start buying anyways. So this wasn't too much below, was mainly like clinging on, similar to what we're seeing now actually, with just two killer wicks. So yeah, it's actually quite similar to where we are now, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, that is what I'm looking at the moment on the lower time frame, higher time frame, mid time frame. And what do you see, fellas? What do we see? Man, I can't get this fucking song out my fucking head for some reason. Boom. I mean, people think I was being subtle, right, in the Discord. Bruv, I can't even type my own fucking name. Hmm. The fuck? People didn't. I don't think people got it, but people didn't get that. Was enough information for me need a cooking brain for my brain. Yeah, I mean, well, that's part of trading. I mean, um, I guess to an extent, sometimes I might simplify something which is extremely complicated. The reality is, I guess you're listening to I guess 10,000 plus hours. And I'm pretty sure there's a quote somewhere about any industry you're in, if you put 10,000 plus hours into it, you're gonna be pretty fucking good. Right? You put hours into anything, you're gonna be pretty fucking good at it. It's same with anything. Yeah, I mean, well, good isn't enough. You need to be great. I mean, you can be good, but if you have good risk management, then you can still be profitable. You don't have to like reinvent fucking the wheel, right? It's like you can be good if you have good risk management, it works out. If you're great in good risk management, then obviously your profitability is going to be different, right? But you don't need to I wouldn't say you have to like be great to be profitable. I would just say that you've got to be aware of how most traders fail and the traits of people who are successful as traders. And it's all psychological in the end. It's all to do with emotion. So you can be good with great risk management and be profitable. You can be great with bad risk management and you're just going to go up and down the whole time. Does your computer science help you in trading? Not really, no. And also, I don't have a degree. Um, that was what I studied after school. Matter of fact, I was recommended not to go to uni, and I'm glad I didn't because I wouldn't be where I am now if I did. Uni is simply a scam. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of well, I know a lot of previous friends who went to uni. I had one of my friends who was actually quite fucking smart, studied like biochemistry and all these other things, all the sciences and everything. Proper whiz kid, and like he's working as a pharmacist. So they're still quite good, but it's like you have this debt, and it took him many, many years just to get that job as well. So I mean, and some people don't get the actual jobs when they've done the degree. So I hate school. Got exam Wednesday and Thursday. I'm guessing you're talking about like uni or the uni. What's it called over there? All right, I'm gonna end the recording on the stream, but I'm gonna still be streaming because we're yapping a bit. So covered mostly everything. So yeah.